So we continue driver review season with the brand new TaylorMade offerings. 3 new drivers in the lineup. QI10. Stealth has gone. It lasted for 2 years and we're probably never going to see it again. But QI10 is now the new name of the TaylorMade driver. QI10 stands for Quest for Inertia 10K. So effectively making the most forgiving driver possible. That's not TaylorMade's normal remit. Certainly with Stealth, it was all about speed. You had carbon, twist face. It was all about bombing it as far as you could. Stealth 2 was about forgiveness. That didn't last long. And then they're really nailing now forgiveness. Now there's 3 models in the lineup. There's the QI10 Max, there's the QI10 Standard, and there's the QI10 LS low spin for your better player. Price-wise, the Max and the QI are £499. The LS, slightly lower spin one because there's an extra weight in there, is £529. All right, guys, giveaway time. I'm going to give away a brand new TaylorMade QI10 of your choice. All you've got to do is subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment down below. One lucky winner will be picked very soon. We're on a mission to try and hit 3 million subscribers this year. So hit that subscribe button and don't miss out on any of the new videos. Right, straight back to the review. In this review, took them onto a driving range to get initial hits. I've also taken them out on the golf course before bringing them back here to the studio to test the actual data on GC Quad. A couple of things first off. This is a very unusual name for TaylorMade. TaylorMade have always been known for their kind of more outlandish names of products. QI10, it just doesn't feel like a TaylorMade product, to be honest with you. Head cover and looks wise, very, very good. I'm very impressed with that. Very good quality. And actually, this is the first one I've taken out the bag here, and it's probably the most interesting driver this year. This is the QI10 Max, their most forgiving driver ever. Now, 10K MOI, what that kind of means is off-centered hits, the club face is supposed to twist a lot less. Often when the ball strikes the club face from an off-centered hit, the actual face can almost rotate and twist, therefore deflecting the strike, losing distance, etc. With this new technology that they've incorporated with this driver, the head is supposed to twist less, making it the most forgiving drivers on off-centered hits. This driver is one that I think is going to intrigue a lot of players this year, the QI10 Max, just because of its forgiveness level. Then you've got the standard QI10, which is really aimed for the majority of golfers, certainly kind of from that middle handicap range, maybe a little bit lower to single figures and a little bit higher to handicaps of 20-ish. But this is really for the majority of players. Again, still a forgiveness story in this head, but not as forgiving as the Max version. And then we come on to the LS version. Now this really is more aimed at your golfer who kind of can operate the Stealth and the Stealth 2. In my opinion, they were the most unforgiving drivers TaylorMade have ever released, and I think they knew that deep down, because why they've now gone on such a forgiveness story. This really is aimed for your tour player, your better player. There's a weight at the front which you can actually shift to the right and left, so fade biased, draw biased, but the weight is very much towards the face for that low spin, hence the LS name for that driver. Now I'm sure the first question you want to ask, Stealth has gone, surely the carbon face has gone. No, TaylorMade have committed to that carbon face. It's a 60 layer carbon face, twist face. So again, that's still the story about more forgiveness on off-centered hits. The toe is slightly more open, the heel is slightly flatter, so that predominantly brings the ball back nearer to the middle on those off-centered hits. But this time, there's a bit of a colour change. It was that kind of deep red colour. We've gone for this kind of almost not navy blue, but quite a dark blue colour, almost purple in some lights. And that same colourway flicks through the head as well. There's little dashes of this kind of purpley blue, silver, quite a metallic look. In the QI10 standard version, there's a huge big weight here at the back. Again, that's helping with that kind of forgiveness level. And it very much, shaping wise, almost looks a bit like a sim driver. That kind of sim shape where it had that triangular end to it. I feel like they're moulding quite a lot of drivers, almost taking the best bit of this driver, taking the best bit of that, and really putting it into a line of drivers that are going to suit everybody. So before I unleash them here in the studio on GC Quad Launch Monitor, I took them away for a recent trip and wanted to do a little bit of initial testing first, one on the driving range, to get an understanding of looks, sound and feel before taking them onto the golf course as well. On the driving range, I've got to say, I'm not the biggest fan of shiny topped drivers. I do prefer a matte, but this driver looks great behind the ball. All three of them look superb. There is a bit of shine you get certainly in the sun, but it's not off-putting. There's more of a carbon wraparound, so the carbon's almost wrapping right around the kind of toe, back and heel as well, and even a little bit over the front edge of the driver. I think the looks behind the ball, it's stunning. Sound and feel-wise, very impressed. I, over many, many years, have enjoyed TaylorMade driver sound. I've always feel like they sound a lot more crunched. Like you can just tell when you've really hit a TaylorMade driver well. And the QI10 didn't disappoint in that category. This QI10 sounds so good, off the face, feels solid. Ball flight was very, very good. What was interesting just on the initial hits, I didn't see much difference between the three drivers. I actually felt like they're all performing fairly similar to each other. Be interesting to see on the launch monitor what actually the numbers look like. The next step was taking them out on the golf course. I started off with the QI10 and the QI10 LS on a lovely tee, and I just wanted to hit shots and just kind of figure out how many were hitting the fairway, what does the ball flight look like, etc. Out on the golf course, there was a couple of interesting observations I found. First off, definitely, and I can say this with confidence, the QI10 drivers, the standard and the LS, are, in my opinion, more forgiving than Stealth drivers. Stealth 1 and Stealth 2. Certainly, the original Stealth was one of the most unforgiving drivers TaylorMade have ever made. Stealth 2 was marginally better, but not by a lot. This is leaps and bounds better in forgiveness category. Off-centered hits were finding fairways, low strikes were doing really well. Just overall, and I tested lots of parts of the club face, I found that the QI10 and the LS was performing really, really good on the golf course. I'm excited to see launch monitor data for those two drivers, because if they perform well on distance, they're really, really strong drivers. On another hole, a very tight hole where there was bunker trouble down the left, there was kind of rough and hazards down the right-hand side, I want to do a little test with the Max version. This is the most forgiving driver TaylorMade have ever made. The whole reason why this lineup is called QI10, because they want to get to 10K MOI, most forgiveness you can possibly get currently out on the market. And I stood there on a tee with 5 shots, and I measured how many finished on the fairway. I hit all 5 of them nicely. Couple out the bottom, but very nicely. To my surprise, when I got down there, this was the result. 4 absolutely in the middle of the fairway, not a concern at all. And one of them, it's really harsh, was probably 6 inches off the side of the fairway. I mean, I would take that as a fairway shot. Technically it's not, but I would give that 4.99 out of 5 for fairways being hit. Very, very impressed with the forgiveness. Right. That's the initial testing, the on-course testing done. Now it's time to tee them up here in the HIT studio, GC Quad Pro V1s, and see what the data looks like for these 3 drivers. So for this test, all heads are in 9 degrees of loft, and I'm going to be testing them all in exactly the same shaft. This is the Cali 60 gram X Flex. Just a note as well, you can actually put the loft up and down by 2 degrees and put it in more of an upright setting as well, which you can do for a lot of drivers now. So I'm just going to put this in standard, 9 degrees. This is the QI10, that's basically the standard model first. I'm then going to hit the Max, then I'll hit the LS model as well, and then we'll dive into the data. I'm really excited about this. I'm so intrigued to see the numbers. Normally I like to carry the ball, or try and carry it, 280 yards of carry, 305 yards of total distance with about 160 ball speed and 2,200 spin, there and thereabouts. That's a pretty good benchmark for me. Let's see what the brand new TaylorMade QI10 lineup has to offer. Okay, so again, just to emphasise what I noticed in initial testing, it looks behind the ball, it's really nice, it is. It's not the biggest footprint, as in it doesn't really kind of instill huge amounts of confidence. It's not like a ping driver, what I've currently been using, where it just looks behind the ball like it's one of the most easiest drivers to hit. It does look more maybe streamlined. Right, let's give this a hit. TaylorMade QI10 standard first. Okay, so that last one was a bit of a monster there. I'll tell you one thing I forgot. When I was testing it out on the golf course, I found, for me personally, the best way of me striking the middle of the club face for whatever reason, I actually almost had to line it up from the toe of the driver. Never really had to do that before, but to find the middle, I was hitting a lot of shots from the heel. So I teed it up a little bit more towards the toe and I could find the centre a lot more. It's an interesting take. I'm not sure if that's going to be for everybody, but certainly it was for me. Right, I've now gone for the QI10 Max, the most forgiving driver TaylorMade have ever made. Okay, footprint behind the golf ball, QI10 Max, definitely more user-friendly. It's kind of flatter and bigger around the back end of this driver, kind of sits it more closer to the ground, which I'm a big fan of. Apart from that, it's a fraction toed in. It looks like it's aiming maybe a degree further left as you set it up behind the golf ball, but I'm very excited to test this. Now, what is quite interesting, with the QI10 Max, doesn't matter what length shaft you put in it, the overall length of the driver is actually shorter. The way that the neck on the driver is shorter and it allows for more of the shaft to go in. That shortness of length of shaft as well is one other factor of why this driver is going to be a little bit easier to hit, straighter. I'm intrigued for distance, I really am, because I don't think it's going to go as far. But let's give myself 20 yards either side of that line. That's fairway. That should be nicely in the fairway. Yeah, nice start. Yeah, that's in the fairway too. Oh, not a good strike, but look at that. Oh, no, 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 no. That's the widest shot I've hit with this driver so far, and it was, I mean, it's not horrendous, but it was offline. Oh. Okay, QI10 LS, definitely a different head shape again. The back, almost the tail of this driver is lifted up off the floor. More compact head shape compared to the two. Doesn't particularly fill me with confidence, but again, this is aimed for the kind of tour players, your Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, etc. So let's give this a hit. QI10 LS. I imagine it's going to be long, but maybe not as forgiving. Oh, that was hit well. Okay, so the results are in. Very interesting findings. I'm not sure where to start really with this. You know, I'm actually going to start with this one I've just been hitting, the QI10 LS. But if we look at the LS first, 284 yards of carry, tick. 309 yards of total distance, brilliant. 2,000 RPM spin, in fact just less than that at 1951 on average. A little bit low, definitely a little bit low. Launch angle 15 degrees, ball speed 156. This is my opinion on the LS driver. For me, it is a stealth in disguise. I just think it's a stealth driver, I really do. The LS version, I'll come on to the other two in a minute, but this driver to me, it performs exactly like a stealth does. You can hit some monsters. I hit one in there that was like 290 odd yards of carry, but off-centered hits get punished and dispersion is definitely on the bigger scale. But I suppose for players like your Tiger, Rory, Tommy Fleetwood, they're going to move from Stealth 2 probably straight into this and not really notice a single bit of difference. But for you and me, unless Tiger is watching, but for you and me, the drivers that are interesting is the QI10 Standard. This one for me really surprised me this year. This was the first one I hit. Get this, average carry distance 285, longer than the low spin, 309 yards of total distance, low on the spin again, 1900, so that could be maybe increased a touch, just so it's not dropping out the sky too quickly. Ball speed 155. I found, for me, the QI10 was a lot more forgiving as well. Like, it didn't spray off quite as far right and left. It was a little bit more down the kind of the channel of the fairway. Not perfect every time. Just on those two drivers, as a note, I was average swing speed 108 miles per hour with those two drivers, almost exactly the same. This was the interesting one for me, the QI10 Max. You saw out those 5 shots that I hit 4 absolutely in the fairway, plus the ones out on the golf course. I thought it was a fairway finding machine. I hit 1 offline. It's a shame. 1 offline, but that's, you know, user error. What was interesting with that driver, because of the shorter shaft length, I was only swinging at 105.5 miles per hour. Lost quite a bit actually. Also, head shape will play a factor in that. It's not as aerodynamic. Carry distance on average, quite a lot lower, like 20 yards shorter at 266 for 286. I was hoping that Max version, as much as it was a fairway finder, I still expected to have a little bit of punch, and it didn't. For me, the standout driver in this lineup is the QI10 Standard. If you have got a stealth driver and you need more forgiveness, definitely look at QI10 or QI10 Max. But if you've got a stealth 2 and forgiveness isn't an issue for you, I can't imagine this new QI10 being that much difference at all. But if you do want more forgiveness, I would definitely check these out. Guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, lots more to come. We shall see you next time. And also don't forget, hit channel, there'll be more head-to-heads and testing on there coming very soon. See you next time.